next question, first person to answer will be Ms. Raitt, and then we'll go to her left.
This question pertains to the Afghan war. What is your personal position on the war?
At every candidates debate, we've had a question on the Afghan war, and we've always dealt with it in terms of the Canadian forces and the great job they're doing. But I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk about what I believe is the important piece. We always tend to forget exactly why we were in there, and I think we should be remembering that what we're really doing is we're supporting Afghan women and girls, period. Under the Taliban regime, women in Afghanistan weren't educated, they weren't part of the workforce, and they weren't part of political life. I would not be working today, I would not be educated, and I would not be up here today being able to talk to you about the great freedoms we have in Canada if I lived in Afghanistan. And I find that to be extremely sobering. And sometimes we get lost on that, but I think we should feel good as Canadians that we have a great democracy and we have a great system that allows us to go and teach others and work with others to build their democracy. And I'm very proud of the forces for taking on this job, and I'm very proud of the government for sending forces over there to do this job, because it was necessary. We stood up not only for Canada, but we stood up for the women of the world. And for that, I'm very grateful to all those who participated, both on the Liberal side and on the Conservative side, because it was the right thing to do. Thanks.
Last Friday, my niece, Katie, shipped off to Kandahar. She's 28 years old, and she's in the infantry. So she'll be on frontline patrols throughout the region. And of course, we hope and pray she'll be all right. But she really believes in that mission. You know, she's young and she's determined. She's trained for years to do it. She believes in it. Our troops believe in it. And there's reason to believe that they're right. That there is a cause. There's a cause of freedom, democracy, and helping people around the world. But having said that, no mission should be open-ended. Our problem with Mr. Harper's position was that he wanted an open-ended mission with no end date. We forced a compromise. We voted on it in the House of Commons. We do have an end date, which is 2011. And thank goodness that we did that. Because if Mr. Harper had had his way, as you know, we would have been in Iraq. He gave a speech. He said in that speech in the House of Commons, we support the United States when they were invading Iraq, about to invade Iraq. We stand with you. We stand with the United States. Had he been Prime Minister, we would have been in Iraq today. Fortunately, he couldn't even find his own words. He had to plagiarize the Australian Prime Minister, so it was a pretty bad speech. I'm glad.
We all support the men and women who serve our country, whether they're in Afghanistan or serving in another capacity. However, it seems that we hear about fallen Canadian soldiers far too often. And I know that the families and friends of these men and women would love to see their children, their friends, their family out of harm's way. The Green Party supports Canadian troops in their efforts to help the people of Afghanistan. However, we believe that the current NATO mission has become ineffective. The Green Party will start withdrawing troops from the current NATO mission in February of 2009, but we will not abandon the Afghan people or our obligation to bring peace to the area. We will offer to assist the Afghan National Army enhance their logistics support capacity, thereby enabling them to work effectively. This offer would be limited to a 2-year period and would not fall under NATO command. It would be UN-led. I personally oppose any war that's primarily for financial or political gain, but I do believe that what we're doing in Afghanistan is important. Thank you.
It's important to acknowledge the soldiers who put put in such great sacrifice for us. And it's also important to acknowledge the families back home. It's not just the soldiers over there that are going through this. But with that being said, Canada does not kowtow to the United States. We need to end the aggressive combat action in Afghanistan immediately. For every $8 spent on the combat mission in Afghanistan, only $1 is spent on restoration in Afghanistan. And this just isn't what Canada is all about. And I also find it curious that the Western media, particularly the US, all of a sudden takes issue with the Taliban and their treatment of women only after the Taliban rejected their request to put a pipeline through the country to tap into their oil. I find it a curious point that we should look into a little bit further. But again, the New Democrats are against this war, and it's also highly unpopular amongst Canadians. We're not a combative nation. Our record is about peacekeeping.